Milligan going down today. No, I've been down the rabbit hole. I've been all weekend. I've been down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, and I actually got back this morning after digging myself out of the rabbit hole and had a shower.
You'll be lucky to hear the word there, David.
I love being down rabbit holes. I really do. It's the
There
wilder,
you go down, David, so it's cool.
the wilder, the better.
They're popping up bloody everywhere.
Yeah.
So they are.
The problem is I'm getting to the point where I'm going down a rabbit hole. No, that's actually what is happening.
Used to be you get in a rabbit hole looking for a conspiracy, looking for the truth.
Yeah.
Sorry, and find a conspiracy theory. Now you're going down that rabbit hole and you're hitting the truth, and it's no conspiracy theory.
I know. It's actually pretty sad, really. I actually wrote a post over the weekend. It's quite funny. It's off the back of a video that Scott Ritter made. Scott Ritter was the guy who was a weapons inspector in Iraq. And he kicked back against the US establishment.
He was also a junior intelligence officer for the Marines.
That's right. And eventually what happened was he was making that much of a noise, it was embarrassing. They got him on, they tried to make it look as if he'd been fiddling about with a 15-year-old.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, so they did a salmon job on him or whatever it was, right? Yeah. But he's still going, and everybody thinks he's in Russia. He's not. He's in New York State. That's where he lives. They took his passport off him.
I was saying, the guy's personal circumstances. I do know he's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and he does good analysis on conflict.
If you listen to what he says, he's one of the few ones that actually Americans that actually give you a good dose of common sense. And it is
analysis, David. He's reading it correctly.
So what I did over the weekend was back to that. I took Scott Ritter's words and I took them to the next stage. And eventually I wrote a thing called The Fall of the US Empire. And it was very entertaining to write. And at the end of the day, it's like, I do suggest people read it because I know for a fact the Americans will read it anyway. So, because they do read things like that. They do want to know what's going to happen.
Anyway, let's go on with it, shall we?
Yep.
First up today, David, is the hotly debated assisted dying bill.
Yes.
Now, out of the 4 parliamentary stages it's went through, it's been amended 175 times, and Liam MacArthur, the Lib Dem MSP who has introduced this piece of legislation, says it's bulletproof, can't be abused, and should be voted through.
If something's bulletproof and it can't be abused, right? Then at the end of the day, I've got to say, very good, right? And you were going to ask me a question as a Christian, and yes, I'm going to answer you honestly.
I was going to say, David, you as a Christian, and Christians, of course, are against suicide. What do you think? What do you think of the assisted dying bill as an idea?
Dead simple. Because I'm a Christian, I did consider suicide at one point. Was going to get this extent, the pain that was going through, right? And the thing that put me off the whole idea was my faith, was the fact that you're going to a bad fire, so if you take your own life. End of story, right? Okay. Now, ask me if I support the assisted dying bill. Yes, I do. Because there's a lot of people that are suffering that kind of pain, that what they want is they want a release.
Well, that's the interesting thing about the parameters of this bill, David. They're very, very narrow.
Yeah.
And they only pertain to a certain group of people.
Yeah.
Who are already in the end game.
Yeah, exactly. Now, do you think any politician is going to, any politician that's a career politician is going to vote for an assisted dying bill? No. Pragmatically, it's too unwieldy for them to get involved in. they would actually, they may as well write their own suicide note if they did that politically, right?
I agree with you. I don't think it'll pass.
Yeah, and it won't ever pass. Won't ever pass.
Whether we think it should or not, and apparently polling says 78% of Scots think this should pass.
Yeah, I know. Appreciate that. Appreciate that as a case. And I'm one of them. I do think it should pass. But will it pass? No.
Well, I'm very lucky to be sitting on the fence in this one, David, because as I said to you, I'm not qualified to even think about this one.
Well, at the end of the day, it's like, was I qualified to take my own life? No.
Exactly. Am I qualified to make a judgment on the quality of somebody else's life?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So I would be that career politician who would sit on the fence and abstain.
It's easier for a politician just to go, nah.
I suppose we better make it clear to people, this is a free vote, people.
Yeah.
Politicians will vote on their conscience in this one.
Yeah.
There's no whip involved here. There's no party telling them what to do. Yeah. This is all on themselves.
Yeah.
Now, will this bill pass? To my mind, no. To David's mind, no. Tomorrow, the debate and the vote will be interesting. I will be watching it.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Right. So what's been happening? What's been happening? Come on.
Also, of course, tomorrow, David, you know that the case that really interests you and I kicks off in the Court of Session in Edinburgh.
Oh, I've still got my handcuffs on.
I've no. I learned how to use a pick a long time ago. But anyway, that will be interesting because I think the Scottish courts will rule that that piece of legislation is illegal in its legal jurisdiction, which will be interesting because that would mean a bill that's still legal south of the border would be illegal north of the border.
No, it's illegal south of the border. It's been found by the Crown Court in England
to be illegal,
unlawful. Right?
Yes, I agree.
And what they've done is they've allowed the thing to continue whilst Miss Mahmood, well, her name is,
puts together an appeal.
She won't ever put together an appeal. She'll keep the thing hanging out there.
She's got a set amount of time to actually.
Has she?
Aye.
No, I think they'll put lots of hurdles in the way. Sorry, we can't quite.
No, the legal system says put your appeal in by.
I'm doing my fucking hair. I'm sorry, I can't deal with the deal this week.
David, there's a set period of time the government has to appeal it, and if they don't make the appeal by that date, they can't have the appeal. Yeah. I think it's 60 days. I did look it up for some reason. I did look this up, and I believe they get 60 days to launch their appeal. Lodge their appeal. How long after that it takes until the appeal's heard is a different issue.
Well, remand's supposed to be 6 months, and yet they had people in the prison for well over a year.
Well, as I say, there is a set period they've got to get this appeal lodged for. How long it takes for the appeal to be heard, that's a different issue, isn't it?
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's like I think the whole lot is, as you say, going to end up with the Supreme Court.
I think so. And I think it'll be both jurisdictions legal to illegal.
Yeah, the Supreme Court will be another 3 years before they manage to get a thing out, and the majority of the 2,700 people that were old age pensioners anyway that held up the card, right?
Right.
What we did anyway, so that's
I'll be the only one left to take them on. Mental. But as I say, it's interesting. Tomorrow is a monumental day when it comes to activities in Scotland. The big vote in the Parliament and the big case in the Court of Session.
One does wonder, if you don't mind put the English way, one does wonder if Craig Murray had not got involved, there wouldn't be a Scottish judicial review.
Aye, what's interesting about that is, but Craig was very specific with his review. He wanted it specifically to be looked at in the Scottish jurisdiction, as it's two different legal jurisdictions.
And the reason for that is that Scotland still has in its law the right to free speech and the right to peaceful protest. In the story, as far as that's concerned, it's like anybody that approaches this on a professional level regarding the case, the judicial review, Scotland still has free speech and the right to peaceful protest.
Yes.
And it's a mere fact that it's prescribed by the UK government that they're running roughshod over Scottish law. In the story.
Very true. But they're hell bent on cracking down and protesting that road. They tried to ban a march on Sunday with people in support of the Iranians as they're being aggressively attacked by the Americans and the Israelis.
There are actual people down in England that believe that we should be at war. You should be. The empire's at war. Why are they holding back? They should be going for it straight away. Get these horrible Iranians out of the way and all this stuff, right? Do you realise who you're talking about? What's the population of Iran, David? Do you have any idea?
98 million.
91 million. So just over 91 million.
Close for a guess.
Yeah. Not bad.
I thought I read 98.3, but you're probably right. I guess it's where you get your figures, isn't it?
Well, what we've got to start working out now is after America falls apart and the Congress...
After we're finished the Scottish issues.
Through the place, but you've got to start working out things like, are California going to go it alone as an independent nation? Because they've got 39.6 million people just in California.
Well, let's put it this way, if the states disintegrate, they will definitely end up with an extra 50 countries kicking around.
Well, no. What happened with the USSR? USSR came to an end, and all these states that were part of the USSR all ended up as independent nations.
That's what I've just said. You're going to end up with 50 new countries in the world.
We don't have to have 50. I would say 10 would do it, because there's a lot of ones that sort of stuck together, like Texas and Florida, right, and California and New Mexico and places like that.
I can see where you're coming from. It might break into regional countries, rather than individual states.
Very difficult to work out.
Becoming countries.
Because you've got to figure out that there'll be certain states that will be very, very poor, right? But I'm sure it's not beyond the wit of man to figure out a fair way to actually...
They can go back to the 13 provinces they had before they became the United States.
Yes, I know that, but that might not work. But there's got to be a fair way of doing it.
I'm sure they'll work out themselves. It's no my fucking business. My business is Glasgow City Council leader Susan Aitken wants more powers to protect the city's buildings after the Glasgow fire. She tells BBC Scotland that the councils have little power and limited power and would like more power to be able to go after neglectful property owners and landlords. And I thought, well, hold on a minute. They're in charge of planning permission. They're in charge of building specs. They're in charge of inspecting to make sure buildings are up to spec. What more powers do they want? So let's have a look and see what powers they have, shall we? Just out of interest. Right, what does it say? People with big TVs about to read it. What powers do local authorities have to keep their towns and city buildings up to regulation? Local authorities maintain building standards through planning enforcement, planning permission, conditions and enforcement notices, and building control, inspection for safety and regulatory compliance. They can mandate changes, removal of unsafe, non-compliant structures, issue fines for breaches, and enforce safety on high-risk buildings, often in partnership with independent inspectors. They've got planning enforcement notices, building control regulations, dangerous structure powers, local planning and design codes, high-risk building powers, and property inspection rights. Is that not enough powers?
How fat does the envelope have to be before all these go away?
I don't know, but I mean, they've got all the weapons in their arsenal to keep their buildings safe, and the powers we've just read out.
How fat does the envelope have to be before all them things go away?
Oh, I don't know. It depends on who the local official is you're dealing with, isn't it? Brown envelopes are notorious in councils. Especially Labour councils. Labour councils have got a backhand economy.
I always remember that one of the James Bond movies was he the Scottish big heavy Scottish guy playing a Russian agent, and he says, "Give him an inch."
I don't want to get Hash's point up because it's relevant here. Susan was pointing out that the majority of heritage buildings are in private hands. Yeah, but the means of controlling what the private owners do with the buildings and making sure they're up to spec is already in the council's hands by building control. So, what more power she wants, I'm not sure. Complaining about the fact that private individuals own the properties in the city is madness.
At the end of the day, what Dave was reading out there was for all local authorities. All local authorities have those powers, not just Glasgow.
No, that's what I'm saying. That was the point of putting that up. That's the powers that all the local authorities have to maintain their towns and cities, and it's up to them. What the problem here is probably enforcement. With all the cuts, there's probably nobody in an enforcement office to enforce these bloody rules.
Oh, do you remember trading standards we used to have? We used to have trading standards, really, really powerful, right?
Yep.
And if you went the wrong side of trading standards, my goodness, they came and got you. They did. And nowadays, there's no trading standards because there's nobody to come and get you. End of story.
Aye, as I say, but I don't see what more power she requires.
Yeah.
But I'm going to follow and see what it is she requests of the central government.
Yeah.
So I'm going to follow it to find out what it is she wants, because I can't see why she would need more powers when the package we've just read out absolutely covers building control. You know?
All right. She's a politician. Politicians will always ask for more power.
And it'll be interesting to see what she asks for.
Yeah.
That's the only point I'm making here, because as far as I can see, there's enough there to be able to regulate landlords and property owners.
I'm sure she's seen a few situations where she would like to have more power to deal with certain individuals.
No doubt.
No doubt. So,
no doubt. We'll leave it there. We'll follow it and see where it goes. Right, planned strikes in the education sector called off as the Scottish Government, COSLA and the EIS reach a deal in the crisis, if you like, in the dispute.
No, in actual fact,
the amount of time actually stay in front of a classroom.
I saw John Swinney reacting to this, and he said, "This is ridiculous." He said, "My own kid is getting to a point where any exams that he's got, really, it's a crucial phase, right? And I'm being pushed into a situation where my local constituency, they're actually threatening to pull teachers from my on strike from my local constituency, and believe it or not," he said, "I want to solve this problem, but I hate the fact I'm being blackmailed to do so." He didn't actually use the word blackmail, but it effectively came out as that.
Ashby, that's not what it says there. It tells you they've got building regulations, dangerous structure powers, local planning and design codes, and they're unenforceable. But I don't know enough about it, Ashby, so I'll bow to your wisdom. I really don't know.
Ashbury, down in England, I remember we had a wee man that built a house. He actually dug a big hole and he built a house so it couldn't be seen. It was in the hole, right? And what happened was a local council board came and said, "You don't get to plan this; it'll need to be pulled over," right?
Cool, didn't it?
Well, they came out and they shot the council guy, right? I don't know if you remember it, right? But and at the end of it, they did pull down his house.
Of course they did.
No, they did was it just fill a hole in. That was it.
Yep.
Yeah. So yes, councils do have wide-ranging powers.
See, I don't know enough about it, David, you know. But what we were just reading out was telling us what powers they have, and they do have enforcement.
Yeah. Well,
right, so back to the strikes. This is another one that's ridiculous. The Scottish Government having to get involved in local authorities' problems.
yes, because it is local authority. Who runs who finances and runs the education?
It's the local authority.
Yep, that's
There's
right.
no central government. But once again, the central government's had to step in to settle disputes on behalf of the local authorities.
Yeah. What's happening is always in a situation like that. They're putting pressure on the actual government to make things work in the way that individuals want it to work. And that's wrong. I don't know how you actually create an arm's length situation as regards that. Best idea is let's get rid of the councils, and then we have everything underneath the government.
You know, everybody's got their big point, David. Maximilian Robespierre, it's UBI, Universal Basic Income. With you, it's getting rid of the councils.
Oh, no. I want independence first.
Aye, and then get rid of the councils.
Yeah.
That's your next big crusade.
Yes. The day after we declare independence, I go, right, what's next?
Right, okay, let's wind this section of the show up before we move on to wider issues. By talking about the SNP campaign conference and policy announcements at the weekend. John Swinton, did you watch any of the conference digitally? David?
I saw. I tend not to watch something like that because I'd end up falling asleep. So what I do is on TikTok and on Instagram, you find there's a good stream of where people like myself, who are members of the they've actually been to the conference and they take video, and that ends up on Instagram, and you end up with all these really good clips of Stephen Flynn, what he said, and John Swinney, what he said. And
I guess you watch the clips of different speeches.
Yeah.
I watched most of it. Just phasing in and out as things to do. I watched Stephen Flynn's speech in the morning, and of course the main highlight in the afternoon was John Swinney's speech.
Was there anything that made you get up for your night?
Well, the energy in the room seemed to be quite positive, David.
Do you know something? The wee statement that said, get a message to Starmer saying that we're not going to subsidise them anymore. I thought it was quite good.
I was tuned in digitally, and the energy in the room seemed quite positive. And of course, a few policy announcements were made. An extra 500 million to extend childcare.
Yep.
And the idea, I think, is we're going to get to the point where the schools are going to feed the kids in the morning and stay open to the parents coming and pick them up in the evening. I think that's where we're going with this.
I've got a better idea. It was about when the baby's born, the government just comes and takes the baby off you and brings it back when it's 18. It's like it's gone through all this stuff. Right.
Well, no, I quite like the Finnish model, and I think that's the direction we're going in. Thanks very much, Aspara.
I like Finnish models as well. Swedish models are nicer looking, but that's beside the point.
No, but when it comes to childcare, you enough with your nonsense. It's going to be 1 in 8 days, is it? Anyway, an extra 500 million for extended childcare, and as I say, I think the end game there is to actually end up with a Finnish model where you will be able to put your children into one of these care centres for 8-10 hours till you do your shift, whether it's day shift, night shift, or whatever. I think that's where we're going.
In actual fact, the Finns are so far ahead of us in lots of things.
Aye, but as I say, I think that's where we're going here. Because what he was talking about is keeping the schools, getting the schools open early for the breakfast club and extending them to 5 o'clock in the evening until parents can pick the kids up, you know. Yeah. And then, of course, that applies to nursery schools as well. But he was talking about up to the end of primary school.
Yeah. Providing the kids have got something that keeps them going, something that keeps them engaged.
Aye.
They're not just sat in the one room for full 8 hours. They're doing all sorts of different things during that period of time.
But when you think about it, David, it also makes economic sense. That if you're a shift worker who starts at 8 in the morning and goes out and does an 8-hour shift, but the school day is no long enough to cover it, or an office worker, sorry, goes out and starts at 8 in the morning to 5 at night.
Your problems getting the kid picked up or whatever. Yeah, I know that.
That makes perfect sense. It makes economic sense.
A few times.
So it makes bloody great sense. The other big announcement was instead of 15 walk-in GP centres, they're going to increase it to 30. And then he rhymed off all the different places he was going to put them.
Yeah.
Like Dumfries and
16. Total 16 has been planned for. The one in Edinburgh is open. It's open for business.
No, that's not David. He said we're going to extend that from 16 to 30.
All right.
If we elected.
I'm saying the one in Edinburgh is
open.
Actually doing it.
I think there's more than one open now, David, actually.
I certainly know about the one in Edinburgh is open.
I know about the one in Edinburgh, right? But as I say, more walk-in clinics, which again, the GP clinic, once again, economic sense.
Right. Do you mind if I pop into a rabbit hole just a second, just to explain this next thing? Right. Okay. Imagine, if you will, a Scottish government that are sitting worrying about doctor surgeries and the fact that doctors are paid so much money that they can't afford in each surgery to take on an extra doctor or two because the actual state won't pay out more than they're getting, right? So how do you get around that? I'll tell you how you get around it. You set up next door in competition, and that's effectively what they're doing with these drop-in surgeries. Is there set up, and what makes that extra special for me is in the debate night I watched. There was a private doctor that came on, and he was actually on there going, "Oh, you can't have this. This won't work. Definitely not. Oh, is that right?" And I was dying for somebody to say, "What do you get paid?" And it's actually extortion. It's because of the money that each individual general practitioner. Don't forget, these aren't specialists. These are just general practitioners. These are like water mechanics, right? They're getting paid massive amounts, right? So what's that?
Low opinion of doctors and a low opinion of counsellors, David.
I've now had 2 arguments with doctors, right, over statins, and the end of it, they come out with, "I've got to do it that way because that's the guidelines." These people are just pill poppers. Take 2 aspirin, see me in the morning. End of story, right? Bye bye. Right? There you go. Right. So the way to get rid of it, the way to deal
7
with
years of training, just dismissed like that.
The way to deal with them is set up next door and compete.
Now,
to the point where
of course,
centres become the doctor surgeries of the future.
I'm not going to get any deeper into this one.
Right. I told you, I was popping into the rabbit hole.
Next time I'll fucking cut the rope and no let you back out again. And the third thing it was announced as a policy going forward was help of up to 10,000 to get people on the property ladder as a deposit help. So basically, he's going to lend them money.
Yeah, the sketchy what's coming out, but it's sounding as if they're going to do the thing of where if you are a first-time buyer and you've managed to get 10 grand together, right? But the house you want is just say £200,000, right?
So you need a 20 grand deposit.
So you need 20 grand deposit. The Scottish government are going to come and put 10,000 up to 10,000 alongside that and say, there you go, I'll let you go ahead and do that, right? And that to me is common sense. It's quite good, and it's a good way of actually getting the growth and all the rest of it working on terms of house sales.
Yes, and house building.
Yeah.
Because once you start selling the stock that's there, you've got to build more stock.
I didn't realise that, Mr. McGuinness.
Well, if you're going to do rabbit holes explaining how fucking long it takes to train a GP and how easy it is to dismiss them, I'm going to throw stupid fucking statements at you, ain't I? But when it came to the end of the speech and he going to the independence part, he actually seemed to have some fire in his heart, which is a big change, David. Over a couple of years he's been First Minister, he's actually grown into it. He's went from being the supermarket manager to the chief executive.
And if you remember, year ago, year and a half ago, both Dave and I were going, oh, he's the supermarket manager. That's right. Really,
he'd lose that fucking election, didn't we?
Now, he's looking as if he's got a pair of cojones. That's it.
He's grown into the position, David.
Yeah.
He really has.
Yeah.
And so we're going to say credit where credit's due and congratulate John. Doesn't it change the fact that 2 years ago we thought he was a fucking supermarket manager who was missing his Tesco?
Yeah.
You know, today he's back to being that attack dog he used to be for Nicola Sturgeon.
Yeah.
Except for he's doing it in his own right now. He's not there to protect somebody else.
Yes.
No, so we're going to praise John. Praise where it's praise due. Yep. He has grown into the position. He really has.
The most important thing is, I'm not going to tell people how to vote, but if you imagine the SNP, if SNP have got a majority, he has to do what he said. He has to progress independence, because what he said was effectively get me a majority and I will be on there making independence happen. Simple as that. Right?
Yeah, make vote happen, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Now, when it came to say own his speech and own independence, that half-hearted bit that was in him, where he barely mentioned it and was feared to mention it and things like that. Yeah. No, I think he's been told now's the right time to unlisten, John, get back to where you need to be on this one and get the voters back on side. Yeah. So he is pushing the independence thing. And folks, he will be at the march in Edinburgh on the 28th for the Believe in Scotland march.
Which is actually very important, because in the past
there was never any
the only one we had actually attending a march that was really of high, that was Humza attended the Edinburgh one.
But and of course, you know, with the bikers, a couple of MPs that were bikers, you know, that would always attend. Stuart Hosey. But as I say, John's going to be there. He seems to have a bit of fire in his belly. And I think the polling's making him more and more confident. I thought the polling might be frightening him because it looks like he could get that majority. But actually, I think it's giving him more and more confidence, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I hope it does. I hope it does.
Thank you very much.
Give him the ultimate confidence and make him really go for it. Thank you very much.
But I also watched an interesting debate on one of these bloody podcasts about where the UK stands potentially in May, where you have a pro-reunification government in Ireland wanting away from Westminster. You're going to have a pro-independence government potentially in Wales, and the return of a pro-independence government in Scotland. England's going to be a wee bit isolated here. And it's always generally when they're cornered to strike out, but that's never a good idea, David.
Well, again, come on, bragging rights. Anybody who wants to push for anything different. My prediction is 10/19, 26th of March will be the a vote of no confidence in Herr Starmer, something like that. Anyone? No? Don't mind.
You've already said, David, now we're waiting with bated breath for Kemi Badenoch to call that vote, or for somebody within his own party to call that vote.
Yep.
But so John's seems to be really banging that drum the right way now.
Yep.
And they seem to be rising in the polls again. I think people are starting to believe it can be done again.
Well, you've got to look at how the Scottish public have reacted to this. Initially, it was a case of want majority? Don't be daft, right? Then when we saw the polls started going that direction, we started going, hang on, they might have something here, right? And then it was a case of let's push a bit, see what happens.
When you realise there's enough constituencies for them to take a majority just in constituency, and you look at the constituency share vote and the way it's split 3 ways.
Most important is that second vote. That's really, really important.
No, David, it's interesting you brought that up because AI did the model of it.
Yeah.
And it agrees with you and me.
Yeah.
There are areas in Scotland where it's definitely got to be 1 and 2, and areas in Scotland where it's not that important. But you and I are going to do it anyway because we're party members.
Yeah, but when you look
interestingly, I only identified 2 areas.
Yeah.
South of Scotland, no Dumfries and Galloway. South of Scotland, the borders.
Yeah.
And the northeast of Scotland.
Yeah.
Where it's a must SNP 1 and 2.
Well, that's where your Tories are, isn't it?
Aye. And that's where the biggest opposition is.
I say that advisedly because it's where we hear lots of noise from the Tories. We know fine well with lots and lots and lots of pro-independence, yes family up there and all the rest of it, right? But we so I'm being careful in that.
Even the yes family up there, David, tend to vote Tory because it's got Tory council we've got up there, isn't it? Tory Labour coalition.
Guys, Tories are yesterday's. So, something like that. Go on.
Right. I guess let's move on for the conference and the upbeat feeling within the SNP. Starmer refuses to send ships to the Straits of Hormuz. And an angry Trump's no chuffed. But Starmer says he is working with allies on a plan to reopen the Straits. And he's offered to send drones, mine-seeking drones, or mine-identifying drones.
How much do these cost? And what's the cost of it?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you'd be probably talking about what, $1 billion, $1.5 billion each, something like that.
For a drone, don't be daft.
No, we're talking about the drones that seek out the mines.
Maybe a couple £100,000 worth of technology, David, but you ain't nowhere near $1 billion.
But what Iran's going to do is they're going to just fire a few missiles and boom, away it goes.
They're definitely targeting them, aye.
Yeah.
But no, I said this morning on this programme, David.
The more interesting thing is, I'll bet you, and you'll agree with me on this one, right? I'll bet you that the mines that they have nowadays aren't just the big things with the spikes hanging out the side.
No, they'll be smart fucking mines, probably.
Oh, yeah, they'll be very, very smart. And that's the fact that there'll be somebody also at a control panel that's looking at them and going, and there's a boat getting within 50 yards. Oh, it's now 25 yards. Oh, it's definitely getting that, right? Press the button, bang, right?
Anyway.
It takes out a boat maybe 25 yards away. End of story.
Now, I said this morning on my show that the reason why they're not sending any boats is because they don't have any. So, as I say...
Oh, no, hang on. The Prince of Wales aircraft carrier, I've heard today, is on 5 days. They've got 5 days in order to prepare to get out there.
It takes a month to commission a vehicle, a vessel to be active.
I know, David. It's just what I'm telling you. You're the expert in this. I'm just telling you what I heard.
Anyway, I went and had a look.
Yep.
A proper deep dive. Because when I asked this morning how many they could put to sea the Mora, it was 0. And the reason for that is it takes a month to commission them to go to become active. Right?
You didn't include all the boats that have taken off the asylum seekers, have you?
Anyway, they've got 63 commissioned vehicles.
Right.
Active, they've got 21.
Right.
They operate on the principle of thirds. So they've got a third in dry dock getting repaired. They've got a third that are on training, but they're also in dry dock. It's just that they're living on the bloody things. And they've got a third, which are active, 21 vessels.
David.
14 of which are above sea vessels.
David, HMS Drake, I've actually played that when I was in the band, right? And they've got some cracking clubs. So I can imagine that takes a lot of time for all the ratings right the way through.
Well, they've got 17,000 of them sitting about doing fuck all, apparently.
No,
anyway, they've got 14 vessels currently at sea.
They're not doing this.
Aye, they've got 14 vessels currently at sea. And they've got none ready to put to sea.
Yeah.
None. That was the point that was being made this morning. It's not that they don't have vessels, it's just that there are none they can put to sea right away. None.
Wonderful. Hey, so as we discussed earlier on, if you end up where your kid is going to end up being conscripted, and if he joins the army, he's going to be handed a pitchfork and pointed direction of Iran, or if he joins up with the Royal Navy, he can sit in his arse, go to nightclubs and all the rest of it for the next however many years, and he'll never see a boat. End of story.
Nathan, SNP 1 and 2 won't vote after they win 60 constituencies. We're not asking people to do. I'm not asking people to do that. Well, how people do with their vote in the central belt, that's up to them. I'm just bloody back me up in the idea that there's certain areas where you're more likely to need a list vote to get a seat.
In the day, your shenanigans.
I'm voting SNP 1 and 2 because I'm a party member. David's a party member. We've made this clear over the years.
No, there's also another side of it, right? Is your ambition to get rid of the unionist politicians out of Holyrood, or is it independence? Because you can't have both. You cannot have both. Simple as that.
Right. So Starmer and Trump, the love-in's finished. It's become brutally clear that the reason why Starmer isn't getting dragged along in this one isn't because of any moral idea that it's an illegal war. That's not at all. The reason why Starmer's not getting the UK involved is he's got fuck all to offer. Yeah. Absolutely nothing to offer.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, let's move on, shall we? Corbyn's tribunal to look at whether the UK was complicit in genocide and a participant in genocide in Gaza has submitted this report back to Corbyn after taking statements from 26 witnesses, some who were medics who were in Gaza, others who were observers that had to leave Gaza, and people who survived Gaza.
Oh, your comment on this was very, very true. That effectively it's a bit early doors because we haven't.
Let me finish a bit about the tribunal, okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, that tribunal has now sent a message to the International Criminal Court in the forms of a deposition, asking the International Criminal Court to investigate the UK for being complicit and participating. They're important words, and participating in genocide. But it's cart before the horse, is it not, David?
Yeah, it does. It does, definitely. It's okay. I'm going to tip my cap to Corbyn for at least trying.
Yep.
Right? But really, when you look at it, your statement of we've not had a definitive ruling from the ICC or the ICJ
Yep.
So therefore, and you better waiting for that to eventually happen and then get on with all this.
Well, as I say, Corbyn, we look at his history, he's quite good at putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
You know, so at least he's done something.
Yeah.
Now, how long will it take to get a ruling for the International Court of Justice on whether this is a genocide or no? Fuck knows.
Yeah, well, what was it? What was it you
They
said?
measured it in decades, I think, for the Bosnian one, was it no?
Yeah. Which is a bit, as far as I'm concerned, these guys that are the women,
The judges.
I mean men and women, right? That are the judges that are involved. I think in a situation like this, they could be scared because they're human beings after all. Being scared is human. It's part of the human way. Something like that.
Aye.
You look at something like this, I'm being asked to make a ruling here, but if I can hang off with this ruling for as long as possible, a lot of people I'm not going to have to make a ruling on, I'll be dead, gone.
Funny that, because that would be the same thing with the Palestine action thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
About 82,700 of a fair chunk of them are pensioners.
Absolutely.
The government's going to drag this out to half of them, indeed.
Yeah.
But see, Corbyn, I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he sent his deposition, but it was cart before the horse.
Yeah.
But it'll lie on a shelf until we get a judgment, then they'll drag it down.
Yeah.
That's
We'll see.
the same thing.
We'll see.
Right, where are we? Oh, YTS is back.
You have a yacht. Were you a yacht?
No, I was a YTS, mate.
I was neither.
No, never was I, actually. I left college with staying in the army.
I joined a band. That was it.
Right. But no, I was neither youth opportunities or a youth training scheme. Done none of them.
Yeah.
But it's back. So companies will get £3,000 a pop to hire 16 to 24-year-olds that have been on the unemployment list for over a year. And you know what it'll be? It'll be the 6-month scheme as usual.
Do you know something? I've got to say, kids born now that are getting to that age when it's like I do feel sorry for them because they're hearing all the stories about artificial intelligence, what that's going to do to their job prospects. There's umpteen things like that, right? And then they'll look around and they go, bloody hell, there's nowhere I can get in. I wanted to go in and join a company as a chief executive officer, and they want to take me on as making the tea. But isn't that how it used to be? Right, son? What do you want me to do?
We don't have any jobs anymore, David.
No. What they do is for your first day in the job, right? Well, what do you want to do? Well, the kettle's there, the tea bags are in that cupboard. Milk, we'll give you some money. You can go around.
David, that's not how it works today. You don't even go for a face-to-face interview. You fucking do it on Zoom.
I know.
And tea. Nobody's drinking tea. Everybody's got a wee plastic bottle with something in it. Then,
what happened after?
And the sort of jobs you're talking about where you started as a tea boy and work your way up, they don't exist anymore, David.
Oh, nice. But then after the YOPs and the YTSs and all that stuff, what happened then? You had the non-adult organisations who came and showed people over 6 weeks how to write a CV.
The government wasted money on so-called training people how to write a CV when they could print one off with a fucking computer, a template, and fill it out.
I always believe if you want to get yourself seen, actually go through the doors, go and press the flesh. That means handshake. Hello there.
But David,
I want a job.
You and I both lived through YOP and YTS times. Now, do you remember what happened with adult unemployment?
Fuck's sake, man. Well, I do remember that employers would look at it as being, oh, I could take somebody on dead cheap here. So I need somebody to actually lick envelopes for the rest of his days, right? So take on somebody for that. But David, to be honest with you, if you're looking for somebody that's already got a skill set that you're looking for, right?
You're going to go and hire somebody, but the majority of jobs in the economy these days are service based and unskilled.
What do you mean by unskilled? At one time,
technically, they're what they call unskilled.
No, I started off as a post office telephone engineer, right? That was classed as unskilled.
When you know what I'm talking about, you're talking about people who are working in manufacturing, people who are working in warehousing, that sort of thing. Places where you don't need to train somebody for any more than 10 minutes to do the job. They'll get rid of the older employees or take advantage of these schemes. Adult unemployment, as it did under YTS and YOP, will rise. Basically, they're making the same mistake over again. They are giving cheap employees to companies who will get rid of actual employees to fill the gap. So when you're working in a manufacturing plant where it's pull this lever, let it travel along, pull this lever, let it travel along, or go pick this off a shelf, stick it in a bag, so put it in a right trolley for the right courier for the right area, you're going to hire a kid.
Well, I seem to have great memories of one of the bread I won't tell you who, but one of the bread factories I worked in, right? And at one time they used to produce crumpets. Crumpets used to come out of the oven on this big wide conveyor belt, and there was about 150 people, 75 either side, all sorting through these crumpets, putting them into bags, and getting rid of the ones that didn't need to, right? And then what happened was they produced this big octopus. It was inside a glass booth at the end of this conveyor belt, and it went, and it replaced every single 150 of those people, right? And it did exactly the same job.
Yeah, well, David, we've just seen AI doing that with call centres.
Yeah, it did exactly the same, and effectively, so there you go. You say,
well, anyway,
AI, definitely, that's what's going to happen.
What history tells us about YOP and YTS was youth unemployment might have dropped, but adult unemployment went up by the subsequent amount.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to the last subject that we're going to cover today in the last 8 minutes, and that is Ed Davey has got some press because Ed Davey says that the UK should build its own missile system to deliver Trident and cut ties with the unreliable Mr. Trump. Mm-hmm. Now, as we're still in this UK, David, we're going to have to put on a hat that looks at the defence of all these islands. Is Mr. Davey correct?
If we consider that we're still part of the UK, I'd have to say to him that it's the lesser of two evils. Let's build our own.
Yes. Now, you and I, of course, are opposed to nuclear weapons fundamentally, and we don't want them on these shores.
I'm not just opposed to nuclear weapons, I'm opposed to nuclear. Because, to be honest with you, the whole idea of the thing is just, it's anti-human. It's anti-human being, anti-human, right? And at the moment people would start to get their heads around that, start to realise.
True, Stevie.
People are going, well, if one's got nuclear weapons, should all have the nuclear weapons? As far as I'm concerned, it's like you should all get rid of nuclear weapons.
Yep.
Are you going to do that? Are you going to do that? Yeah, you might end up breaking the America through the petrodollar nonsense, right?
Uh-huh.
What are you going to do about Russia? What are you going to do about China? They're not going to give up their nuclear weapons. Simple as that.
Well, you know, there is no defence using US equipment. Get rid of nukes and get rid of US arms. Expensive junk anyway. Well, what's more important is what we have learned recently is that they pick kill switches and all the devices they sell.
That's right.
So, well, we were all wondering.
Lorraine said it all for you and me. She said, no nukes in Scotland. We totally 100% agree with you, right?
Yep. No nukes and absolutely no more nuclear power stations either. When we want the ones that are here decommissioned so that the land can have its 400 years to recover.
That's right. Yep.
We want them decommissioned, we want them gone.
Yep.
But we definitely want the weapons off our shores. And John made a further commitment to that as well.
The problem is, and yet again, it's philosophy. You've got to be into it. You're right into it, right?
Yeah, like button squeeze, folks. It helps the algorithm, helps with advertising revenue for the food banks.
If we discuss what happens after, so let's say Scotland gets independence, and then we go, right, get your subs and your nukes to fuck off our land, right?
Aye.
Fine, okay. And the English government acquiesce to that and go, all right, you're an independent country, so therefore, yeah, we've got to listen to you, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, what are they going to do with them? What are they going to do?
Fucking packet is.
Exactly. Yes.
So I think we'll just keep them, David, and decommission them ourselves, eh?
But you've got to understand that what happens is somebody on a computer is going to sit there and go, right, where's Edinburgh? Right. There's Glasgow, right? Okay, that's 2 nukes. No, that's 3. We'll have them with 3 nukes each, right? And that's how it'll be. Best idea is Scotland. Don't bother, guys. We'll take your subs apart and we'll take your nukes apart. End of story.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We'll just retain them and dispose of them ourselves.
Yes.
I think that's a better idea. They'll be in our sovereign territory and we'll tell them we'll fucking sort it.
The subs when they're used up, where do they end up anyway? End up in Rosyth.
Aye.
End story. That's it. And it's like you speak to people that are actually doing like that, speak to them online.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thanks very much.
We're working day and night. Are you fuck? You're not working day and night to get those subs apart. You're not. If you were, it'd easily been apart by now.
Thanks, Lorraine. Thank you very much. Very generous.
Lorraine, darling. That's really
I'm going to say you and I are fundamentally opposed to nuclear power and nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
But I think retaining them because they're here and just tell them it's all right, we'll dispose of these things for you. You can take your submarines, we'll deal with the rest, thank you.
But we talk
about as the farms down that road have already got another parcel full down there.
Yeah.
You know. But that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
As long as we get rid of them. The problem is, as you say, because our neighbours are pretty bitter.
Now, what I suggest we do is we should get loads and loads and loads of designs and all the rest of it for missiles, right? And we'll bury the missiles inside the mountains of Scotland, just the same as Iran.
Oh, so that was the other thing that John... I've got this written down and I didn't mention it, Graham. John also announced that anybody conducting any form of illegal war worldwide will not be allowed in Scottish waters or in Scottish land or in Scottish airspace.
Yeah.
I did write that down to mention.
I suggest that what we do is, because that's now the face of modern warfare, we've seen how effective Iran has been by having missiles inside the mountains. This was one thing that we've got lots of. We've got lots of intelligent people, and we've got lots and lots and lots of mountains could be hollowed out, and we can actually put the missiles inside there. Anybody comes messing with us, war door, middle of me. That's it. End of story.
Aye. Aye, Alistair, you were listening in while you were driving, were you? Well, I'm glad you made it home without a rant frightening the shite out of you. David, I'm afraid we're going to have to round it up there.
No, it's not that time already.
It is, but it's interesting it's an interesting one to think on. Do we allow them to remove them and point them back at us, or do we tell them to take their subs and we'll deal with the rest?
Well, just remember the post I did, or the articles I did over the weekend, the fall of the US empire. I'd like to have a few comments on that to see what you think of it, right? But the other one where I was actually mentioned about Clarence Oddbody from It's a Wonderful Life, when he eventually gets his wings from A Wonderful Life and USA is gone. That's another one I'd like a few more comments on. So thank you, guys. If you wouldn't
Very
mind.
good. There you go, folks. Go and have a look at his Facebook page.
Yeah.
Most of you guys are tubers, so you're no bother your arse. Witchy Goth goes live at 6 o'clock, folks. For anybody that's interested, I'll be listening in for work, but I won't be commenting. But I'm sure if Witchy Goth's here, she'll say hello.
It's time.
It is, David. It's time for
independence, 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 as they say in Scotland, and
eyes on the prize, folks. The prize is a majority in the 2026 Scottish election.